Hello, and welcome to Some Like It Classic, a podcast about the movie magic and timeless shows of classic film and television. I'm your host, Tami Goveia, and together we'll revel in old Hollywood nostalgia and delve into the searing reflections of the men and women who shape the cultural landscape through the lens of entertainment. I love Westerns, in particular, TV Westerns. Over the next few weeks, we'll be spotlighting some of my personal favorites. These are shows that I grew up with as a kid, and some that I've recently discovered and now love. Some may not be considered the best of the crop, but they were the training ground for some of our best film actors. Our first Western aired on CBS for 3 seasons from 1958 to 1961. Wanted, Dead or Alive is an American Western television series starring Steve McQueen as the bounty hunter Josh Randall. I have to admit, I'd never heard of the show. So, when 28-year-old Steve McQueen appeared on my television screen in a cowboy hat, I did a double take. Bullet? Thomas Crown? The King of Cool? I was so confused. The black and white program was a spin-off of a March 1958 episode of Trackdown, which was a Western series starring Robert Culp from 1957 to 1959. Now, up to this point, no one really knew who Steve McQueen was. In 1958, he'd starred in the science fiction movie The Blob, now considered a classic. Before his debut episode of the classic Western television series Wanted, Dead or Alive, he joined the ranks of starving actors who'd migrated from New York to California. He trained in New York at the iconic Neighborhood Playhouse, as well as the Actors Studio. Had his big screen premiere in a Don't Blink or You'll Miss Him role as a young thug in Paul Newman's Somebody Up There Likes Me in 1956. Although The Blob wasn't released until after Wanted, Dead or Alive, producer Dick Powell had seen a rough cut and was intrigued by McQueen's performance. The TV Western Trackdown was a major career stepping stone for Steve McQueen. Filmed in February of 1958, the bounty hunter episode introduced the character of Josh Randall, a rough and tough, no-nonsense kind of guy. Sounds right up Steve McQueen's alley, don't you think? According to the A&E biography profile of Steve McQueen, featured in the Season 1 DVD, McQueen only took the role of Josh Randall because his career opportunities as a film actor were looking just a little bleak. You have to keep in mind that this was a time in Hollywood when TV still carried a stigma. In most actors' minds, no self-respecting film actor did television. But some things never change, and actors gotta eat. So, Steve McQueen donned the hat of Josh Randall, a Confederate veteran and a bounty hunter, but with a twist. You see, this bounty hunter had a heart of gold. In the beginning, the creators of the series had to put their heads together and figure out how they were going to sell the show, because the subject matter of bounty hunters were still very much entrenched in the stereotype of down and dirty ruffians, not really the likable kind. The creators overcame this obstacle by having Josh Randall give most, sometimes all, of his earnings to help people. Although Randall is a bounty hunter, he doesn't chase and capture only men on wanted posters. He also settles family feuds, frees unjustly jailed or sentenced men, and finds missing husbands, sons, and fathers. This chivalrous take on his character, as well as his pursuit of justice and not just money, contributed to the show's attraction and popularity. Another element that audiences loved was Randall's relationship with his horse named Ringo. Except for a few episodes at the beginning of the series, Randall rode an energetic horse named Ringo. It's said that Steve McQueen visited a Los Angeles horse wrangler who gave him his pick from several horses. McQueen made a beeline on a black quarter horse with a star and white socks. The green broke gelding named Ringo proved to be a handful on the soundstage, frequently spooking and stepping on McQueen's toes. However, you might say they were two peas in a pod. Steve apparently bonded with the headstrong horse, admiring the animal's spirit. When the series started becoming a hit with audiences, McQueen began getting more and more noticed by the film industry, including director John Sturges, who'd used McQueen in the war movie Never So Few. He cast McQueen in the Western The Magnificent Seven, the movie that would launch McQueen to stardom. After getting offered the chance to star in The Magnificent Seven, McQueen found out that the only way he could do the film, which was being shot simultaneously with Wanted Dead or Alive, was to fake an accident or illness and get a medical leave from the series. Now, according to his first wife at the time, McQueen accomplished this feat by faking a car crash in which he crashed his car into a tree, receiving minor cuts, muscle pulls, and bruises, and getting his medical leave. The series production went on temporary hiatus while McQueen filmed The Magnificent Seven. I read this piece of news and thought, wow, that certainly couldn't fly today. It would be all over social media. By the end of the 1958 to 1959 television season, the show was ensconced in Nielsen's top 20 at number 16, a truly remarkable feat for a brand new production. Airing every Saturday evening on CBS after Perry Mason, it would continue to remain popular until its 3-season run ended in 1961. Wanted Dead or Alive could have lumbered on for at least 2 more years if McQueen hadn't been itching to jump headfirst into motion pictures. His scene-stealing role in 1960's The Magnificent Seven proved his instinct to be intact. After making Magnificent Seven, McQueen began to get more and more movie offers and decided to quit the show to pursue his film career, thus canceling the series. Now, rumor has it McQueen didn't hide his happiness when the series was canceled, and that he celebrated his last scene on set by doing a jig in front of everyone. McQueen was quoted as saying, "3 hard, mother-grabbing years, but I learned my trade and it gave me discipline." I first discovered Wanted Dead or Alive on MeTV. If you have access to MeTV, you can watch Wanted Dead or Alive on Saturdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 28-year-old Steve McQueen is definitely worth a watch. And knowing the trajectory of his career, well, you can't help but watch with just a little bit of wonder and awe. And this brings us to a close for this episode of Some Like It Classic. I hope you enjoyed this first in a series that will be spotlighting TV westerns, and maybe you discovered a side of Steve McQueen that you may not have known about. It was written, narrated, and produced by Tami Goveia. That would be me. The logo was created by Marissa Serafini. This is a JLJ Media podcast and can be found on most streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Ratings and reviews are always welcome, so let us know what you think. And if you enjoyed this episode, share the love with a like-minded friend. You can also follow Some Like It Classic on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at Like It Classic. As always, thank you for listening, and join me next week for another episode of Some Like It Classic. Until then, happy trails to you. Until we meet again.